Hello everyone, welcome. This is Nick from Top Notch Sports, and today we got a lot to discuss. Let's hop right into this thing.
180. 180, set.
Hello everyone, welcome. This is Nick from Top Notch Sports, and today we're going over the 2023 Denver Broncos salary review and offseason moves for 2023. The Denver Broncos just traded for Sean Payton just today, actually, and I cannot wait to hop into this video because this is a big move for the AFC West. Not only is it a big move for Denver, who went 5-12 last season, in 2022, finishing last in the AFC West, and just a complete downfall year under head coach Nathaniel Hackett. Not only is this a big move for Denver, this is also a humongous move for the entire AFC West, with the Las Vegas Raiders now in shambles a little bit, with the LA Chargers right now kind of scratching their head. Should they have, moved on from Brandon Staley and brought in Sean Payton? And the Kansas City Chiefs, well, they're still rolling. We all know about them. But you got to really wonder. Me being an outsider, I said the Chargers would be a perfect fit for Sean Payton. They held on to Staley. Now, will this bite them in the ass? And Denver was the only team willing to go out and actually make the move. So you got to give them congratulations. Going 5-12 last year, last in the AFC West, they can make huge strides forward. Hopefully, Russ will start cooking again and we can get the ball rolling forward. This is going to be a mock free agency, mock draft, mock offseason. So stay tuned. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Let's hop right into this thing. Here we go. Here's what we have for the Denver Broncos. In the top left corner of your screen, you see that you have $15.4 million in cap space. Now, this slide are the slide of your current expected starters that are currently under contract for the 2023 NFL season. So if you don't see somebody, that's because they're current free agents. Well, they're going to be free agents. So they got to either be extended or you're going to have to just let them walk in free agency. With all that being mentioned, okay, you look here, you say, what are some big names? What are some big cap, savings? The guys in green, you cut them, you save money. The guys in red, you cut them, you lose money. So you're not going to cut nobody in red. But the guys in green, Garrett Bowles, you to save $10 million. Graham Glasgow, $11 million, right? Those are some pretty big contracts. And again, you can't forget about Justin Simmons for $7.7 million. So now, again, one thing we could do is restructure some of these contracts, which again, NFL teams do this all the time. I'm not going to sit here and be an accountant and, hack away half the contract and put it into signing bonus. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. What I do know is they're most likely going to do that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm either going to cut them or keep them. So look at this slide. Let me know what you think. Should they cut them or keep them? And again, I'm going to make my predictions at the, towards the middle of this video. So just stay tuned. We're going to look at our notable losses, guys that are currently due for contract extensions. Here are your notable losses, okay? Anybody listening on this slide are guys that need a contract extension, or are you going to let them walk in free agency? Now, before we even do anything, we got to look at percent of snaps played. This number is calculated by the percent of snaps they played when they're on the active game day roster. If they were on the IR for 16 games a season and played 100% of the snaps for that one game, it would say 100% of the snaps here because it only gets calculated against them if they were active on the game day roster and chose not to play or were benched. So with all that being mentioned, what do we got here? Well, first things first, offensive guard Dalton Resner. Expected contract, a 4-year, $38.2 million deal. He played 97% of the snaps. Next guy, Draymond Jones, defensive end. Expected contract, a 3-year, $21.8 million deal. He played 81% of the snaps. Next guy, safety Kareem Jackson. His expected contract is a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. He played 97% of the snaps. And last but not least, offensive tackle Cameron Fleming. His expected contract is a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. He played 98% of the snaps. Typically, a good rule of thumb is guys that play a high percent of snaps and play well during those high percent of snaps are guys that typically the team will look to bring back. So again, all these guys played a high percent of snaps when they were active. So team, if the regime is the same, if they played well, we'll typically bring them back. Since the regime is changing to Sean Payton, we may not see the same thing here. Here are our potential targets. Now, I first made this video, I should say, without Sean Payton. Okay. I made this video a few weeks ago, really. I made the the idea behind it. I got to get all 32 teams done. So I, do one team at a time. And I was waiting for you guys to bring in a coach. And now since it's Sean Payton got rid of a draft pick, well, now we got to do a few extra things. So without Sean Payton, this is what we had you guys doing, having that first round pick. We didn't end up cutting nobody. We're not going to cut your center. We're not going to cut your left tackle. Like I say, you guys can absolutely restructure those in real life. I'm not going to do that for you because I wouldn't do that for any other team. So that being mentioned, you have $15.4 million to spend. Well, who do we bring back? We bring back Dalton Resner to a 4-year, $38 million deal, which is $9.5 million cap hit. And we bring back Cameron Fleming to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal, $2.5 million cap hit, which totals $12 million in total cost, which means that you have $3.4 million in estimated cap space remaining. With that being mentioned, you look at your team needs, you still need a wide receiver, you still need a center. You need an offensive guard, offensive tackle, edge, and cornerback. Well, what do? We fill in the offensive guard need by re-signing Dalton Resner, and we fill in the offensive tackle need by re-signing Cameron Fleming. Now, with that being mentioned, what are we going to do? Well, in the draft now, we're going to attack 3 other needs. In the first round, we were going to draft edge rusher B.J. Ogilari to fill in that edge rusher need. We're going to draft third round. We're going to draft cornerback Garrett Williams to fill in that cornerback need. And in the third round, we're going to draft offensive guard Emil Ekor to fill in that interior offensive lineman need. Now, if this was to happen, this is what your team would look like on paper. This is what it would be. You got your head coach is still to be decided, but you look at this roster, real quick color scheme. Guys in orange are guys that you re-sign. So you're re-signing Dalton Resner, you're re-signing Cameron Fleming. Guys in light blue are your draft picks. You are, drafting Emil Ekor. You're drafting B.J. Ogilari to come off the edge, and you're drafting Garrett Williams to play, as the third cornerback on this team. Now, the guys in yellow are your placeholders. These are guys that typically you might want to look into possibly replacing or did not score well according to PFF or my own analysis. Graham Glasgow is that guy on that fine line where, according to PFF, I know for him specifically, he didn't play that well according to them. And he is taking up a good amount of money. Now, I feel like it could be a fluke year. You guys would know better than me if he played that bad. But I still feel like you bring in Emil Ekor. You bring him in, you use him in the offensive guard position. You use him in at the center position. You use him in at the offensive guard position. You use him. You try him out. You compete, and maybe in a year or two, he becomes your starter. But for right now, Graham Glasgow, I would give him the benefit of the doubt and probably let him start again next season, unless you have a better option, which there aren't many better options. You could cut him and then re-sign or sign somebody else. But again, we don't have you doing that. And the other placeholder we have is KJ Hamler. Again, KJ Hamler's had multiple years now. You can say whatever you want. You guys know better than I do. Maybe we just keep on letting it rock and roll with him. Or do we pull the trigger? Not pull the trigger by cutting him. I mean, do we have someone compete for the job? The yellow means they didn't play well. Maybe we start to think about replacing them if there becomes a better opportunity. Let me know what you think. But this is not going to happen. Okay, if this was to happen, you have a nice young core. I mean, you have a pretty dang good offensive line, right? You got some depth here. Right? You got some pretty good weapons, Jerry Jeudy, Greg Dulcich, and Cortland Sutton. You got Javonte Williams coming back off of injury. You still got Hamler, who I still think could be a pretty decent weapon, just not what he was expected to be, right? Some people thought he was going to be phenomenal. I personally did not coming out of the draft. And you look at your defense was one of the best defenses in the league last year. Now, again, you are bringing in Payton, so who knows what he's going to do to your defensive staff. But again, this is a really, really solid defense on paper. You got Surtain, who I really like. You got a pretty good, you got pretty good edge rushers and Baron Browning. And you would have had B.J. Ogilari, coming off that as a nice young guy that you have with Baron Browning. But you got Josie Jewell, who played really well this past year. You got Justin Simmons, and one of my favorite draft picks you guys had in a few years is I honestly, I like Caden Stearns. I really, truly do. I like them coming out of the draft. Whether I'm right or wrong about this, you guys got to let me know. But my scouting analysis, I had him ranked as one of the top-ranked safeties. I think I had him ranked 3 or 4 coming out that year. So I'm a fan of his. I really am. But this was if you didn't bring back Sean Payton. Now we're going to look at what you do. Not bring back Sean Payton, but you trade for Sean Payton. So now we're going to see what you would do now since you traded for Sean Payton. Here is with Sean Payton. Okay, now a few things change. We're going to make the same moves. Bring back Resner. Bring back Fleming. Same deals. The only thing you don't have now is that first-round pick. So we're not going to do an edge rusher. Instead, you're going to maybe draft one in the later rounds to compete for a job. You're going to draft the center. You're going to draft the wide receiver in the later rounds. And now let's look at this team with Sean Payton. All right, so what's the difference? Well, we got an all-star head coach now, and the only difference is we don't have B.J. Ogilari, but we got a pretty good, edge rusher in Randy Gregory. When he's on the field, he's pretty dang good. So you look at this, is this much worse? And that's probably what the Denver Broncos were thinking. Is this team much worse? And I got to say, it's really not. If Sean Payton can get this team rocking and rolling in a very tough AFC West, this team could contend for the playoffs from 5-12 to contending for a playoff spot. If this team makes these moves, exactly what we have on paper, and is year one under Sean Payton and quarterback Russell Wilson, I truly feel like this Denver Broncos team will go 9-8 next season, fighting for second place in the AFC West in a grueling grudge match between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Las Vegas Raiders if they officially bring in Tom Brady like we expect them to do. With that being mentioned, we feel like it's going to be a tight race for the playoffs, but we do not believe the Denver Broncos will make the playoffs in 2023. You got a lot of tough teams in this AFC between the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, even the Cleveland Browns. And if the Colts can get running again, and the Titans can keep going again, the AFC is tough. There's only 3 spots open. And in a tough, grueling division like the AFC West, it's very rare that 2 teams make the wild card in that division. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Your guys' future is bright, especially with Sean Payton. I feel like in 2024, this team will definitely be contending in the playoffs. Let me know what you think. See you guys soon. Peace. We are Built Better.